So here were the limitations. One is they had to use Rudolph, obviously. Okay. They also had to use their creative discipline. So whatever it is that they do as a creative person, we contacted them and said, hey, can you do that thing for us? And most of them said yes. Some said no. We'll get them next year. The other limitations are they had, the presentation is divided into 2 parts. The first 10 slides is the story. So this whole thing is not the Rudolph story, it's just the first 10 slides. The second 10 slides are their process. So they're going to tell you how they solved this problem, which is the part that I was most excited about, because as a teacher I really like seeing students work through a problem, and I think as creative people you are going to learn quite a bit from seeing how these people solved this problem. It also gave them only half of the time to make something, so they were more likely to say yes. So the Rudolph story is 3.5 minutes, and then the whole thing is 6 minutes and 40 seconds. The last limitations are, they had 4 slides that they had to cover. The first one is a title slide. The 4th slide had to have Santa on it. The 7th slide had to have all the other reindeer, and the 10th slide has to have Rudolph and his nose shining. So that's what we told them. All 10 of these presentations came together sort of on their own, and they're all brilliant. I'm just really excited about what's about to happen. So, did I cover everything, Jake? Bingo. Yeah, Jake says bingo. Okay. So Kelsey, professionally, is a graphic designer at Bailey Lowerman. Personally, she's working her way through all of Netflix while pursuing her artistic endeavor of the moment. She has a lot. Or else she's taking a nap. Mindy recently moved to Lincoln from Omaha and writes grant proposals at Nebraska Appleseed, a nonprofit legal center. I'm laughing because that is not a funny intro, and Mindy is one of the funniest people I know. So, Mindy and Kelsey.
Kelsey's that short. Just kidding. There. So I'm Jewish, but I've seen a lot of Christmas movies, and I figured out at least that they usually have a really specific, lesson or something. Family's important, presents are brilliant, a fat old man is watching you sleep. Really watching? Thanks for coming out to PechaKucha to listen to me and Kelsey teach you about how not to just let Rudolph guide Santa's sleigh, but also maybe your life. Because why should you have to learn anything the hard way when you can take a lesson from Santa's dream team? That's really how it ends up. You remember Hermie? He didn't like to make toys. The other elves bullied him. Even Santa didn't like poor Hermie. But he taught us a really good lesson. If you don't fit in, just quit. If making millions of kids happy isn't your thing, then tell these kids to fuck off and try to pull their teeth out. It won't hurt a bit. Rudolph followed Hermie's advice and quit being a reindeer. In so doing, teaching us another lesson. Abandon your family, and there are no consequences as long as you proved a point. Bonus, the girl you met for 10 seconds will abandon her life to look for you twice. You found a keeper, whether you wanted to or not. You can't help but learn something on the island of misfit toys, such as there's no limit to your imagination. If you live in a secluded place with weirdos long enough, you'll find ways to stay entertained. Like that water gun you had, put jelly in it. Another life pro tip that we got from Hermie is especially poignant for this crowd. Credentials mean nothing. If you say it, it must be true. Hermie goes from Santa's crappiest elf to medical professional in one word. What bad could possibly come of that? The banjo-playing narrator sung some advice for us, and the message was loud and clear. Nothing is more important than silver and gold. Finally understanding the true meaning of Christmas, Kelsey and I upgraded our wish lists. I wanted a gold toilet. And remember at the beginning of the movie when Santa was in shape? He looked good. I mean, he almost beat out Liam Neeson in our old guys to bang list. But if I learned one thing from Mrs. Claus, it's that no one wants a skinny Santa, and everyone wants cookies. Indulge yourselves. Old guys to bang list. Our next lesson's about friendship, and how to get someone who really wants you dead to like you. Again, pulling teeth comes in handy. So you can stop trying to kill him, because your enemy is just your future friend. You just might have to beat the hate out of him first. And speaking of meeting people briefly and making rational decisions, Rudolph teaches us how to make a new adult friend. If someone offers you a ride on his dog sled, take it and never look back, because stranger danger does not exist in the North Pole. And who cares if he's got a gun? He'll probably just keep you safe with it. Basically, Santa allowed everyone who worked for him to bully a reindeer since the day he was born because of a genetic mutation. And he turned out to be the only one who could drag that sleigh to literally every house in the world. Clearly, the moral of the story is, people will only like you if you can do something for them, as we heard in the last one. And now it's the processes.
So we've done this type of visual storytelling before. Once we told the tale of how Mindy's eyeball just escaped from her face. Just once, it was great. However, the way PechaKucha was set up, it was a little more difficult, so we had to make sure that we started the process out right. Wine, pizza, and chocolate cake. You know what I mean? So we put in the DVD and basically just started writing down every observation and idea that came to mind. There was no filter at all, as you can obviously see. But that's just how brainstorming works.
This is to describe my writing process. I don't have any good lessons to teach anyone, but basically, if you have cats and a couch, you can have a writing process. You don't even need cats.
And I think Joe kind of mentioned this before, my process included a lot of procrastination and then lots of 12-hour drawing sessions pretty recently and lots of supernatural to get me through it, which is why some of the slides were probably kind of bloody. It was that influence. But once we did have our 10 ideas picked, I started drawing and some of the sketches didn't make the cut. One of them, Clarice, wasn't creepy enough, and one of them, Hermie, was a little too creepy. So we're just kind of finding the balance.
We also had some lessons that weren't included in this, in the slide limitation. Some of them being, if you're the boss, you get to treat people like shit. That was Santa. Misfit toys are cooler than you'll ever be, and if you don't know where you're going, find someone who looks like they do and follow them. Oh, and then in the process of this, we learned a lot about the story itself, which is kind of screwed up or terrifying. So there's nothing actually wrong with the Dolly on the island of Misfit Toys. She has psychological damage from abandonment issues. And Herbie gets a crush on the dentist, or the tooth fairy, who might be the Rock.
So another big part of this that's so important is inviting people and having you guys come so we have an audience for all the work we did, which was great, but it was also kind of awkward making my old Baneable Man list knowing that my dad was going to watch this. That's it.
That's our bloody ending.